This conference will
If
now be
somebody can,
recorded.
if someone can please use the chat feature and just verify that you can see my screen as well as hear my voice, then we can go ahead and get started. Great, thank you for that. What I've done is I've gone through and I've muted as many people as I could just so we don't have any background noise. I will be stopping throughout the presentation to read not only your chat questions, but also if you want to verbally ask any questions, feel free to do that. What I would ask is that you would keep yourself muted on your side, and then when you're ready to ask a question, feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself. That will just help with the background noise that we have. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that we're going to talk about today. We'll give you an update on our timeline, where we are with rolling out the new GHIN products. We'll talk about some of the tasks that you and your fellow committee members or club admins can take care of in preparation for this data migration and launch of the new products. We'll talk about some of the tasks that will be required for you to do, as well as some suggested tasks for you to take care of. And then we'll talk about how you can introduce these new products to your club members, as well as you as a club admin getting up to speed on how to use the new tools. And then a few takeaways, some additional training classes that we have been participating in, and then we'll follow up with any final questions. So the first thing that we want to do is just take a quick look at the timeline. As we're getting closer to the launch date, some of these aren't as important or we don't have as much time to take care of some of the tasks. But really the pre-migration, we're now down to 15 days. So the last day of the year, December 31st, will be the last opportunity for you to perform any tasks in the GHP products that you know today. During the cutover, hopefully many of you are aware of this date, but January 1st through January 5th, the tools that you know today, you as a club admin as well as the golfer, will not be accessible. So that means there will be no score posting from January 1st through the 5th. This includes the GHP Club product as well as the mobile app as well as the kiosk. So nobody will be interfacing with the GHIN products during those 5 days, except for your golf association as well as the USGA staff. We'll be doing a lot of behind the scenes activities. And then the launch, that's when everything will go live on Monday, January 6th. We will launch not only centralized computation services here in the United States, but we'll launch a whole new suite of GHIN products for you to utilize as a club admin, as well as tools for your golfers to be able to utilize to post scores and review their scoring records. So we started, this has been a long process. This wasn't just picked up on November 1st, but this is kind of where we started some of our communication tasks. But we did start training on GHIN products in November with your golf associations, and even prior to that, we held many online webinars as we are today for your golf associations, and then last month we also started some club training classes. The beginning of this month, December, we continued with our training and data validation. And then just this past weekend on Saturday night, we held our last handicap revision under the USGA handicap system. So the index that you're showing today is going to be your last official index under the USGA handicap system. Come January, you will have a handicap index calculated under the World Handicap System. So completely different set of rules for calculating the handicap index, and we will go through what some of those changes mean. That cutover time period that I mentioned, the 1st through the 5th, that is when the new rules of handicapping will take effect. However, score posting will not be available for clubs and golfers alike. And the reason for that is we have a whole data migration plan that needs to be executed in order to move all the club, golfer, and score data into a centralized computation data services. So those of you that are in the southern states and enjoying nicer weather than we are here in the Northeast, those members will just need to hold on to those scores for the first 5 days of the year. And then on Monday, January 6th, they can go ahead and enter any scores that they've posted those first 5 days of the year. For messaging timeline, for the GHIN products, we have tried to do as good a job as possible to alert club officials as well as golfers that something is happening. We've tried to send out information through emails as well as putting notices on our products. So if anybody is interfacing with any of the GHIN products, they should see a message to this effect. And we'll go through what those messages look like. Hopefully you have seen them already, but they've been applied on the GHIN.com website, the GHP Golfer, the kiosk, our club website, the e-newsletter program. We've put messages on the mobile app as well as the other products. And this will also be important during that cutover time period when we're doing the data migration. Should anybody go to one of the URLs on the internet, they will get a message alerting them that the product is not available and will be launched on Monday, January 6th. So pre-migration, again, this is just the last few weeks of the year that we are in this pre-migration status, but we have updated messaging on the GHIN products. We were going to ask you to identify any key scheduled reports that you may need, and we'll go through where you can find those and locate those. We're going to ask you to perform some data cleanup tasks, take a look at duplicate emails within your own club, and then set up default courses to reduce the workload on kiosk setup. Hopefully that last one you shouldn't have to do, but we are going to ask you to confirm the data, but that should already be set up because you're using the kiosk today. So some of the messages that you should see when you go to GHP Club, hopefully this weekend, if you went in to run any reports from the revision on Saturday night, you saw this message on GHP Club. Again, just alerting you that the system will go down on January 1st and it will be inaccessible until we launch the new admin portal on Monday, January 6th. In addition, we've provided these screens for your associations to push down to you at the club level. So that middle section is really just a screen saver. So when nobody is posting a score on the kiosk, that's what the middle section can look like. Now, this is not to say that all associations did this, but some of them did take advantage of this messaging and push this down to your clubs. The bottom section where you see the white and the blue background World Handicap System, that is the banner ad placement. So we took advantage of that space to put in a banner ad to alert golfers that something is changing, excuse me, come January 1st. So that stays persistent throughout the posting process. So as you enter your GHIN number and select the date that you played and the tees that you played, that banner ad placement at the bottom will continue to show throughout the score posting process. That middle section, the screensaver, that will go away once the golfer initiates the score posting process. So just another way for us to be able to alert the golfer that something is changing and then they should be paying attention. On GHIN.com, a couple uses here on GHIN.com. One is on the revision day, so yesterday. We typically get around 1 million hits on GHIN.com. That's a huge number, and it's a really an important vehicle for us to be able to communicate directly with golfers. This is a place where golfers can go to not only look up fellow players' handicap index, but they can go in and post scores for themselves as well on GHIN.com. And the third key thing about GHIN.com, that's where players can record their statistics within the eGolfer program. So talking about it from the score posting and handicap lookup piece only, on January 1st, if somebody were to go to GHIN.com, they will get a message saying the system is under maintenance. We're in the process of launching the WHS program on January 6th. So there will be messaging if somebody were to go to the website on the 1st through the 5th. More importantly, for individual golfers, we have the eGolfer program. eGolfer is a statistical program that some have taken advantage of. It allows a golfer to post hole-by-hole scores as well as keep track of things such as greens in regulation, putts made, penalty strokes, things of that nature. The data that is entered into the eGolfer profile for the individual player, that data will not be migrated into the new platform. So if you have somebody that really likes to keep track of their statistics and reviews this on a regular basis, make sure that they are aware that they should either print and or download, save any of those statistics that they have been keeping over the years. Again, that statistical information will not come over when we migrate the data into the new platform. There will be a new statistical program that golfers can take advantage of, but all statistics will start from day one, January 6th. So no carryover information on the eGolfer program. So can't stress that enough, but make sure your members do know if they do have an eGolfer profile, ask them to go ahead and print and or save any of those statistical data that they would like to keep for their own personal records. Within your e-newsletter that many of you received yesterday, or perhaps you opened your email this morning, we've been sharing information around the World Handicap System and what this all means come January 2020. So there really are two separate initiatives going on. One is the World Handicap System comes into play, so a new set of rules for handicapping, how the handicap index will be calculated, and then centralized computation comes into play, where everyone in the United States will be in the same database. So this is a blessing for many of you, especially those that border a state that does not use the GHIN services. It could have been difficult to look up and validate a handicap index of a player. Come January 6th, all golfers in the United States will be in the same centralized database. So you'll be able to search for golfers in Wisconsin, Maryland, any of the non-GHIN associations that we know today. Everybody will be housed within the same database. So even though they are two separate initiatives, they are launching at the same time. So it's important to keep track of the changes that are happening. They're not necessarily because of the World Handicap System. It could be because there's a new GHIN product that's available to you. So we've tried to keep those initiatives separate, but also link them when it's important to get the message across of what is happening in January. The mobile app, on Friday, we introduced messaging or alerts on the mobile app on Friday. So if any of you have gone into your mobile app over the weekend, you would have seen this alert. So this message will stay persistent for the remainder of this year. And then come January 1st, when the system is shut down, you will not be able to access the mobile app. But we do want individuals to know that they will need to update their mobile app come January 6th when the products are launched. So if somebody tries to open their app, they will know that the app is not working. So we want to make sure that they are aware. It's not that it's broken, it's being updated. And there will be that update available on January 6th. So before I go forward, any questions on the messaging or timeline? Any concerns based on the revision this weekend? Okay, great. So some of the things that we would like you to do as a club administrator to start preparing for this cutover, the first thing is to identify any of your key scheduled reports. This has been a great feature in GHP Club, where you can set the system up to send you a handicap revision on the 1st and the 15th every month. So we've had close to 11,000 of those scheduled reports generated or set up within the GHP program, and probably close to 9,000 of them have just been the handicap index reports on revision days. So one of the challenges with the World Handicap System, as many of you know already, the handicap index will be updated on a daily basis. So these scheduled reports that you would count on the 1st or the 15th, you're going to need to rethink and find out what makes sense for your golf club and how often you want to receive those reports. With that process, you will need to make it easier for you. You will need to recreate all of these reports in the new platform. So the schedule reports that you have set up today will not automatically carry over. So if you have an index report that is scheduled to be delivered on every Monday morning, that is not going to happen come January 6th. You're going to need to recreate that report and reschedule it so that way you can start receiving the report on the desired date and time. So to be able to determine if you have any scheduled reports, when you log into GHP Club, across the top menu, there's a menu item called Web Reports. So if you click on that, it will take you to the GHIN Web Reports page, which looks similar to the one that I have on the screen. And then from the left-hand column menu item, go ahead and select My Scheduled Reports. On the right-hand side, you'll see a listing of all of the scheduled reports that your club has. This could be a scores posted report, this could be a roster report, this could be a handicap index report. Various reports that you may have, they could be specific to the entire club, or they could be specific to a print group. Strictly up to you how you have created these reports. But what you'd want to do is click on the View Details button, and then that will give you all of the parameters that you have selected for that report. So if it's a handicap index report, you may have selected, I only want active golfers in my Friends Friday Fun group, which is 30 golfers, and then I want it in index order. So if those are the parameters that I've selected for my scheduled report, you want to go ahead and hold on to that, take a screenshot of that or print that out, so that way when you get the tools to the new admin portal, you'll be able to go ahead and recreate that report for yourself. So again, just a reminder, any critical reports that you rely on, you want to make sure that you do save or print them out from this weekend, so that way you'll have access to them when we launch into the new platform. So a question came up on how do I describe to the newsletter? You'll need to have your email address in your player profile, and then you will get a newsletter from your golf association on the 1st and the 15th of every month. So if you have not been receiving your e-newsletter, just reach out to your golf association and provide them with your GHIN number and email address, and they'll be glad to add you to their database listing to be able to send those e-revision or e-newsletters out to you. Okay, duplicate golfers. One thing that we've seen in the database, we currently have a little over 4 million golfers in the GHIN database itself. However, only about 2.3 million or so are active at any given point in time. So what we have found with that is that a lot of times a golfer will go inactive, and if they come back to the same club or they join a new club, rather than reactivating their old scoring record, they're given a brand new GHIN number. So we do keep GHIN numbers on file. We have not deleted any GHIN numbers in probably 5 years. So if anybody has been a member within the last 5 years, we do have that scoring record in the database. So what we would ask you to do is to take a look at your own roster and see if you can identify any duplicate golfers. So what you'll do is log into GHP Club, and you'll go to the roster report. In the roster report, it defaults to all of the active golfers. So what we would ask you to do under service is change that to all, and then under status, change that to all as well. And that way you'll get the active and inactive golfers. When you go ahead and run that, down at the bottom, you'll see a listing of all of your golfers. In this case, I can see that Chad DeWeese has 2 different GHIN numbers, but he's active with both of those GHIN numbers. So as the club, I want to verify that that is in fact the same person. And if it is, I want to take a look at these 2 scoring records, find out which GHIN number you want to keep, and then which GHIN number we want to remove. And if you send that information to your golf association, they can go ahead and merge those scoring records. Now, we are not going to do that. We as the USGA nor the association will do that on their own. because we don't have a way of validating that that is in fact the same person. It could be a father and son, and maybe one just doesn't have the junior identifier. So that's why we're relying on you at the club level to be able to do some of this validation and then point the association in the right direction as to what needs to happen. So you do not have the ability to merge scoring records, but your golf association does. So again, we're going to encourage you to go into your GHP club roster and look for any duplicate golfer values. And then we want to go ahead and identify which GHIN number to keep. In this case, I'd probably keep 99 because it's a heck of a lot easier to remember than the one above it. But some people know their GHIN numbers. They've had them forever. So let's go ahead and have you decide which GHIN number to keep, which GHIN number to remove, and we'll go ahead and merge those scoring records. I had a couple questions come in, so I'm going to take a quick stop. The first question was, will the new admin portal have the same URL for admin? And it will not. So your golf association will send to you what the new URL is. In addition, the associations should have reached out to all of their clubs to find out who the proper admin is. You'll be getting an email, an automatic email inviting you to participate in the new admin portal. So unlike today, where for a club it's a generic login, everybody shares that same login credential. In the new admin portal, everybody has their own unique login credential, and it's based on your email address. So for me, it's fne@usga.org, and then whatever my password is. So if I want to share that with somebody else, that's up to me. It's certainly not encouraged, but everybody will have their own unique login into the new admin portal. The next question was, if I cannot get into GHP until January 6th, then I cannot register golfers until January 6th. Can golfers post scores on January 6th before I have activated them into the club for 2020? So only active golfers will be able to post. So if I am inactive on January 6th and you have a note to reactivate my membership, until you reactivate my membership on January 6th, I will not be able to post scores. So once my profile is active, then I can post scores in the system. So that's why you want to make sure on December 31st that you have all of the statuses correct for your golfers. Anybody that should be inactive, make them inactive on December 31st, and then on January 6th, they will still be inactive until you activate their membership. Good question, though. Okay, let's talk about missing data. So if you can, what we would like for you to is to fill in any of the blanks with regard to any of your golfers. So to do that, same process as the duplicate golfers, you want to log into GHP Club, manage, go to your club roster, turn off all of the filters so that way you get a complete list of all of your golfers, both active and inactive. And in this case, what I did was I sorted by address. So all of the blanks came to the top of my screen. If it's important for you to keep your address information up to date, then we would encourage you to go ahead and fill out the address information for each of your golfers that might be missing data. So that could be street, city, state, or zip code that might be missing. So again, please go in and take a look if there's any missing data, fill that out and make sure we have it up to date. Because all this data is going to be migrated into the new platform, so we want to have as clean as data as possible. Okay, duplicate emails. Another change in the new platform, and I'm going to say this a couple times to make sure that we're all on the same page. In the new platform, email address for the golfer must be unique. So today in GHP, a husband and wife or a parent and child can share an email address. In the new world, the email address will be unique to the GHIN number. So we will not be able to support duplicate email addresses within the new platform. So what that means is anybody that has a duplicate email today, we want to go ahead and update them so that way that data will be carried into the new platform. If my husband and I share an email address today, if neither one of us makes a change to our profile, the email address will be removed from both of our profiles in the new platform when we perform the data migration. So we want to try to clean up as many of those duplicate emails as possible. So once again, to do that, you want to log into GHP Club. In this case, we want to go back to the web reports because we'll be able to pull up a report of just email addresses. When you're in the web reports, you want to select the club roster, and then within the club roster, select the parameters that you want. So for status, I would suggest changing that to any, and then in the display columns, I would suggest selecting email address, name, GHIN number, and status, and then go ahead and run that report. You'll be able to export that report to Word or Excel if you choose to do that. When you run that report, you can see in my Hockeytown Golf Club, I actually have 3 golfers that have the exact same email address. So I have John Alexander, Marty Barrett, and Rob Bauer. In this case, what I need to do is go in and update 2 of the 3. So if I don't know an email for John Alexander, I can go ahead and remove the email address. But if I do have an updated email for Marty, I can go in and just update that email, and then I can leave Rob with fne@usga.org. So that way we don't have any duplicates any further. So really important that we go ahead and update duplicate emails. Again, if we do not update the email address, then it will be removed from all player profiles in the new platform. Another thing that I do want to alert you, if you are adding new golfers come January 6th, from that point forward, any golfers that you add must have an email address with their player profile. So there's some golfers today that do not have an email address in their profile. They will be migrated into the new platform without an email address. They will continue to post scores via the kiosk. However, in April, when we initiate the golfer profile piece, the golfer, unless they have an email address, will not be able to post via the mobile app or GHIN.com. So if somebody is never going to post through the mobile app or never going to post through GHIN.com, we don't have to worry about it. However, if somebody does want to use the mobile app, they must have an email address in their player profile. So just keep that in mind as you're discussing this with your members. It's best to get an email in everybody's profile, but if they are going to use any of the golfer products, it will be required that they have an email address in their profile. Okay, a couple questions came in as I anticipated on emails. So the first question is, what about the players that don't have their own email service and use their relative's email? If the relative is not a golfer and not in centralized computation, then we don't have an issue. If the person's email that they are using is already being used in centralized computation, then the golfer is going to have to go out and get their own Gmail or Yahoo, or there's plenty of free email services out there. They will need to sign up for an email address. Again, as I mentioned, if they are not going to be using any of the golfer products, meaning the mobile app or GHIN.com, they absolutely can continue to post via the kiosk, the score posting kiosk, forever. We are not requiring an email address to post through the kiosk. The next question was, please verify again the emails will be removed from duplicate emails on both numbers. Is this correct? Yes, that is correct. So if I share an email address today with my husband, My GHIN number is GHIN number 1, and it has our shared email, and my husband's GHIN number is GHIN number 12. Upon the data migration, that shared email is going to be removed from both of our profiles. So we will be loaded into the new centralized computation without an email address in either of our profiles. Follow-up question with regard to email. The question is, scores are posted by GHIN number and not email. That is correct, but because of the data privacy, we are going to restrict people from getting into the system that are not part of the handicap world, so to speak. So everybody that wants to access GHIN.com and look at fellow golfers' scoring records is going to need to have an email address so we can verify that they do have a right to be in the system and look at other people's scoring records. So today, as you know, GHIN.com is wide open. Anybody can search for anybody by name or GHIN number. In the new world, because of data privacy, we want to restrict it to people that are within the golfing community. So if you have a GHIN number, you can sign up to create an account and access not only your scoring record, but look at fellow golfer scoring records as well. All right, let's talk about invalid birth dates. So this does happen, not too often, but we ran a report a little while ago, and we had 1,000 golfers that were born in 2019, but they all had a handicap index. So I know this is people just typing in information to get somebody a GHIN number, and maybe they fat finger it or they skip over the birth date. But we do want to have accurate birth dates in the scoring record for the golfers. Birth dates are not required for anybody unless the golfer is a junior. And the reason why we require birth dates for junior is because of pricing. The associations tend to not charge for junior memberships based on the club. So that is one of the reasons why we require a birth date for a junior. A junior is considered anyone under the age of 19, and that matches the USGA entries for the Junior Amateur Championships. So that's why that birth date is selected. So to check for any invalid birth dates, similar to what we did for the email address, we're going to ask you to log into GHP Club, go to your GHIN web reports, and then when you want to select the roster from the left-hand side. So in the roster selection, you want to set up your parameters. So again, we would suggest changing the status to any. And then under the display columns, you want to have GHIN number, name, birth date, and then status. And then you can run that report. So here on my Hockeytown Golf Club, you can see the first 3 golfers do have a birth date in their profile. The first one was born on November 24th, 2019. It's probably incorrect. The second one, Dan Anderson, was born on January 1st, 1900. Again, probably incorrect because they would almost be 120 years old in 2 weeks. And then the third one, Marty Barrett, has a February 21st, 1962 birth date. Probably makes sense. So in this case, I would go in and I would either remove the birth dates for John and Dan, or I would simply update them to what their correct birth date is. Again, not a requirement to have a birth date unless the golfer is identified as a junior, and then you must fill in the birth date of the junior golfer. Question came up, how do golfers with multiple clubs select their home club? So home clubs is a new concept by the World Handicap System. And basically what that means is each golfer will be tied to a home club. So that way, if there's a question on if the golfer needs to have their handicap index modified or penalty round, severe action taken for the golfer, that home club can be kind of the touch base for that golfer, the club and that association. When we roll out the centralized computation in January, home clubs will be selected by a type 1 club if you're a member of a green grass facility, and also a type 2 club. So type 2 club will be the type of club we have here at the USGA. Our staff club is called Moggy Brook. We would select the green grass facility over the Moggy Brook Golf Club. If you're a member of multiple green grass facilities, we're going to look at your scores and see if you have a propensity to play at one particular course over the other, and we will make that your home club. Initially, the golfer will not be able to change the home club. You, as the club admin or the association, can change the home club for the golfer. We're going to build in the ability for the golfer to change their home club in a future release, but initially, the club or the association will have the ability to change the home club. All right. Okay, the last thing that we want to do is take a look at your home courses. Again, most of these should already be set up for you, but if you don't mind just doing a quick verification and validation, that would be terrific. So log into GHP Club, and then under Club Services, you want to go to Home Courses. And when you select that, if you're a green grass facility, your home courses should already be displayed. So in this case, we took the example of Bethpage here in New York, and we can see that there are 5 courses assigned to Bethpage Club as their home course. So the reason for this is when we create or when we roll out the new products in January, we're going to be generating a new kiosk URL specific to your golf club. And this will pull in all of your home clubs automatically to make the score posting process easier for your golfers. So again, there shouldn't be anything that you would need to do, but if you can just log in and verify this information, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, some other things that you can be doing from now until the end of the year. We talked about some data cleanup. Just a reminder, the reports, any particular reports that you need or specific data that you need, you want to make sure that you make note of it and print out or save any of those scheduled reports. If you want to run a club roster before the end of the year is out, please go ahead and do that as well. So save or print out any of those critical reports. For those of you that use the GHP client software, not many around the country, but there still are some out there. You're doing either a dial-up transmission, or you're connecting through the internet once a day to do a batch upload of scores, sending and receiving scores. If that's the type of computer setup that you have, make sure that you do a final transmission on December 31st before shutting down your posting computer. Important for those of you in the southern states that are active year-round and still active on January 1st, if you have any events that you will be running in USGA tournament management. So that first weekend in January, the 4th and 5th, if you plan on running any events, do make sure that you update your handicap indexes and tournament management. You can do it any time from now until December 31st. But you want to make sure you have your most recent handicap index in your master roster so you can properly run any events that first few days of January. And then again, last person out the golf shop on December 31st, make sure you turn off the posting computer. Maybe put a note by the posting computer letting everybody know data migration is in progress, something along those lines, and that score posting will resume on January 6th. Make sure, if you have not already done so, communicate with your members. Talk to them about what the impact will be to them those first few days of January. And then communicate any key tasks. So an example of that for a golfer would be the e-golfer program. Make sure you communicate to the individuals if they do have e-golfer data that they would like to retain, that they print and or save any of that information. Another item, some of you work with third-party technology providers to help run your club. Those could include things like Tournament Expert or 4Ts or Club Essentials. You guys know who these are. Make sure that you do reach out to them and verify that they have been working with us to ensure that they are prepared for this cutover in January. We have been in contact with all of these technology providers, but it's helpful if you would reach out to them as well, just to verify that all of the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. We don't want to see any disruption in services in January for anybody. So if you can reach out on your side, that would be greatly appreciated. Couple other considerations. The association should have reached out to each of their clubs asking for who the club admins will be on January 1st. And then that way what we'll do is we will load all of the club admins for your club into the new database and then send out that welcome invitation asking you to create your profile so that you can log into the admin portal come January 6th. So if you have not heard from your association, please reach out to them and make sure that they do have your correct contact information so we can create that profile for you. You want to make sure you understand how your association is going to communicate key information to you at the club. So is there a portal that you go to get updates? Are they sending out weekly updates to you? Are they holding their own meetings? Just understand where you can go to get information on this transition. You want to make sure you understand how your club is going to access the new kiosk after launch. So again, there will be a new URL that is created for each unique club. You want to make sure you understand how you're going to load that into your score posting computer and get that ready for the golfers on January 6th. For the key transition dates, make sure you turn off your score posting computer on December 31st at the end of the day, and then don't forget to turn it back on January 6th. Reiterate to your golfers a time frame when scores cannot be posted. So January 1st through the 5th, we will not be taking any scores into the new Handicap software. And then turn your score posting computers back on the 6th. If you have not already done so, participate in the other club training sessions that we have provided, as well as reach out to your golf association if you have the time and interest to log into the new admin portal. There is a test site available that you can log into and practice and take a look at, how it's going to operate. You just need to get access from your golf association. And then lastly, I'm sure everybody knows, but just find out how to contact your association if you do have questions. Do they have a dedicated email address? Do they have a phone line that you can call? How do you normally reach out to them with any questions? Just make sure that has not changed or something is different for this cutover time period. All right, let's talk about cutover. So January 1st, hopefully everybody can sit back and watch some football and watch the Rose Parade and whatnot. But all GHIN products, as you know them today, will be turned off. So no access to the mobile app, no access to the reports, no access to GHP Club. If you try to access any of those URLs, you will get a message saying we are down for maintenance. January 1st through the 5th, no score posting. So any rounds that members play those first 5 days of the year, have them hold on to their scorecards. Or if at the club you want to put a shoebox together that people can drop in their scorecards. However you want to take in those scores during those first 5 days of the year. Be sure to communicate the timeline to the golfers. Again, you can continue to use USGA Tournament Management. The product will function fully, with the exception of any handicap index updates. You won't be able to do that electronically. You can certainly do a manual index update, and you will not be able to post scores. So again, we won't be taking any scores from tournament management those first 5 days. Make sure the score posting computer is turned off. And then for the golfers, direct them to your website, your association website, or the USGA so they can understand why this change is important and when everything's going to happen. So just communicate that timeline. All right, on launch, January 6th. And as the times are defined, we will certainly reach out to you and let you know, hey, on January 6th at whatever, 5 a.m., we're going to launch. But you will be updated as we get closer and our timelines are refined. But it will be the morning of the 6th. I don't know the exact time yet, but once we have that, we will certainly communicate that out. So the first thing that you want to do when you get your invitation to log into the admin portal, just perform a data validation. So please take a look at your roster, look at the count of golfers, male, female, active, inactive. It's going to be critical. We will have done all of our checks up to that point, but it's nothing better than having you as the club admin, your eyes on this data as well, because you know it better than anybody. So it'd be great if you can go in and perform some data validations. Look at your own scoring record, make sure the scores look correct, the number of scores, your last few scores that you posted, make sure all of that data transferred over properly. Communicate. You want to make sure that you follow up with your golfers to let them know that the launch has taken place and they can start posting their scores and using the new tools and applications. If they do have any scores held, you want to encourage them to post those scores. And really important, encourage them to download the mobile app. There are some new calculations under the new rules of handicapping. So the figuring out the course handicap, it will not be the same. There's a new mathematical formula to determine how to figure out your course handicap. So to make it easier on everyone, we would certainly encourage those that have a smartphone to download the mobile app. It'll make their lives a lot easier. For the tasks, certainly when you get your email inviting you to participate in the admin portal, you set up your account, create your password, and then make sure you turn on the score posting computer and launch the new kiosk at your golf club. So what we will be doing on the 6th at the USGA, we will be sending out a generic email to all golfers in centralized computation, alerting them that this data migration and the launch of WHS has taken place. One of the key factors with WHS is the new calculation of the handicap index. So at a very high level, we will not be taking the low 10 of the 20 differentials in the scoring record. We're going to take an average of the low 8 of 20 scores in the scoring differential in the player scoring record. So there's more to it, but that's the generic calculation of the handicap index. So if you were a 13.5 handicap index as of yesterday with a new revision, and you do nothing the rest of the year, your handicap index may be different come January 6th because of the formula to calculate the handicap index. So that's going to be something that's really important to communicate to the golfers, because they may not understand why their 13.5 changed to a 13.1 or whatever that number turns out to be. So we will send out that email alerting all golfers WHS has been implemented, new software is available, and their handicap index is X. All right, so some takeaways with today's meeting. If you disregard everything I have just said for the last 40 minutes or so and you do nothing, we do ask you to do these 4 tasks, if you will. Communicate the cutover period to the golfers. Help them understand why this change is important, the magnitude of this change. It's a lot of data being moved from one database into another and integrating all golfers within the United States. You want to make sure that you read and take action on any communications from your golf association. So do not disregard if they are sending emails on a daily basis. I know it may be overkill, but we would certainly rather over-communicate these changes and the timeline these next couple weeks. It is critical. So please pay attention and take note of any communications that your associations are sending out to you. Those of you at a golf course facility, make sure that you turn off your posting computer at the end of the day on December 31st. That way it just helps alleviate any confusion with the golfers on the 1st. And then just a reminder, December 31st at the stroke of midnight when 2020 starts, all access to the GHIN products as you know them today will be revoked. So you will not be able to access any of the GHIN products until January 6th. Looks like we had a couple questions come in. I just want to go back to the questions. The question was the low 8 of how many scores for the new handicap calculation. So in the new world, your scoring record, your current file of 20 scores, we're going to take the low 8 differentials of the 20 and average them. So if you do want to learn more about the new calculations of WHS, the new rules of handicapping book is available online at usga.org, as well as some other information about calculating the course handicap and the playing handicap and things of that nature. So certainly encourage you to go to the usga.org website or your association website and review that information. Another question, currently we get email updates on handicap. How often will those emails come in now? With the daily handicap index, so everybody's handicap index will be revised if they have posted a score or if there has been any maintenance done to their scoring record. Otherwise, if I play today and I do not post, my handicap index will not be updated tonight. But if I do play today and post a score, my handicap index will be updated that night. The emails themselves, they will be delivered. The associations are planning to deliver them on the 1st and the 15th, which makes them a newsletter. So the concept of the e-revision will not be sending out on a daily basis. That's something that the associations will decide if they want to pursue going forward. But we're looking at other ways to alert the golfer if their handicap index should change. You know, can we use things like a push notification in your mobile app, things of that nature, as opposed to getting a daily email. The next question, what are the changes to the multi-tee tournament handicapping? So that is outlined in the new rules of handicapping. So again, encourage you to go to usga.org and read up on that. The course rating minus par, when we figure out the playing or the course handicap for the golfer, that is going to take into account golfers playing from different sets of tees if the par is the same. So there are some nuances with that, but if you read up on it in the new handicap system, the rules of handicapping, it will explain that information. Next question, if somebody does not have an email, their only place to post is on the kiosk. That is correct. So if somebody does not have an email address in their player profile, the only place that they will be able to post a score is at the score posting kiosk, or give that score to a club admin and let the admin post the score for the golfer. The next question was, how can we access a video of these online webinars? These videos have been shared with the golf associations, so you'll want to reach out to the golf associations and find out where they have posted these webinars for the club admins to review. Okay, a few other additional trainings. We're coming down to the wire here, so you may have already participated in these, but there have been additional trainings on the admin portal to talk about golfer administration. So that could be adding a new golfer, changing a score, or modifying a handicap index. We've also done training classes on template reports. So similar to the scheduled web reports that we have today, we've gone through a session on the template reports. And then finally, we've also done some overviews on setting up the kiosk. So important information for you to know, those of you especially at golf course facilities, how to set up that score posting kiosk on day one. So again, if you have not participated in the other training classes, there are still a few available. You can reach out to your golf association to see which dates and trainings will be upcoming this week. I think right after this, we actually have a kiosk set up, if I'm not mistaken. And then you can also review the recorded sessions through your golf association. And that concludes our launch prep for club admins. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.